Hi, I'm Robert Osborne. Thanks so much for joining us right now as our TCM guest programmer for tonight returns. He's the man who never fails to make people laugh. That's actor and comedian Greg Proops, who has a new book available actually right now called The Smartest Book in the World. Thanks for the copy you gave me.
Well, you're very welcome,
Can't wait
Robert.
to read it.
I felt terrible charging you for it.
And well, I felt terrible paying for it. Yes, indeed, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the next film Greg picked for us is a film noir thriller from director Jacques Tourneur, one of the top of many lists when talking about examples of great film noir. The movie is Out of the Past, starring Robert Mitchum, Kirk Douglas, Jane Greer, and Rhonda Fleming. Now, why does this rank so highly among film noir?
I think it has every element of film noir right out of the gate. It starts with a 45-minute flashback. It has there's lights in the corner. There's lights at the top of the room. There's lights across people's faces. It's got duplicitous dames who you can't trust, who are poison, that you cannot resist because they're overwhelming. It's got the private detective and his partner, but you got to stand up for your partner, like Bogart says in Maltese Falcon. Even though the partner's a rat, it's got nasty gangsters, played by Kirk Douglas, who's again doesn't usually play straight up gangster. You know, he said he played his whole career playing SOBs, but in this one he's a real low-key, insidious gangster.
Right.
He doesn't do
the worst kind.
Yeah, right. He doesn't overdo it at all, and I think that's why. Also, the dialogue in this is cracking. What is Jane Greer says? I don't want to die, and Robert Mitchum says, I don't want to either, baby. But if I am, I'm going to die last.
Yeah.
So there's just bone mows flying around this picture. Everybody smokes in every scene, including a scene where Mitchum walks into Kirk Douglas, and Kirk Douglas goes, "You want a cigarette?" And Robert Mitchum pulls his hand up and goes, "Smoking." I don't think there's ever been a movie with more vociferous cigarette smoking in it in the history of film.
I don't think anybody ever made better film noir than RKO.
Oh.
There was something about those shadows and that cinematography that they had at RKO that no other studio had, even Warner Brothers, as good as that was. You know, as dark as those movies were. Columbia had some good film noir, but RKO's shadows, and they never did as interesting work in color at RKO as they did in black and white.
That's true.
And I just thought that this was about as good as you can get when it comes to black and white cinematography, and why one should love black and white.
Yeah, sometimes people are resistant and don't like black and white, or they'll say, I don't get it. Why is it in black and white? And you're like, well, it's an art form that existed before color, so you have to understand it's not about reality, it's about cinema.
Right.
And what you can do with the shadows and lights. And this movie really, also Jacques Tourneur, you know, his horror films are done on a budget of $7.
Right.
And they're
and change.
And they're completely effective.
Right.
Cat people and oh, did you Walk with Zombie, whatnot? All those pictures don't use any sets or anything.
Right.
They do it all with shadow.
Right.
And I think this one does it as well. And also, this one has one of the great sidekicks in film noir history, a deaf boy sidekick. And he's one of the great. There are no deaf characters that you can think of in the old movies. I just love that you know, when you're the anti-hero, they always give you someone who's down and out as your best friend to prove that you're one of the guys.
Right.
And in this one, they gave him a teenage deaf guy, which I think is wild.
Yeah. Well, let's see the film. Here it is. Really one of the best. A movie also with Rhonda Fleming and a teenage Dickie Moore. Here is Out of the Past.